I just put together. I don't know, I was trying to do something cool. Hi, my name's Ethan Aquilina, and I'm going to be reviewing the brand new MacBook 16-inch. It's almost brand new, came out about 3-4 months ago, and as a average consumer and photographer, I'm going to be reviewing its features and see what I think it offers towards me. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe. It's free, you can always unsubscribe later. Anyway, let's get into the review. The MacBook I have is straight off the shelf. It's the lowest tier you can buy at $3,800. That's AU, and it comes with a 6-core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, and 500 gig of storage. So the lowest spec MacBook Pro you can get. This is still a newer one, as it only came out 3 to 4 months ago. Now, what does $3,800 get you in a computer? First of all, the display. Display is really bright, it's really beautiful and really sharp. You're going to find it'll pretty much cover any of your uses if you're just an average consumer. It'll cover like watching a Netflix, YouTube, and your basic stuff, word editing, reading your emails. It'll easily cover that. But where this really starts to shine is when you're doing your photo editing and your video editing. The display is really quite color accurate, and actually has this feature where, depending on your environment, it will change the colors of the display to look more accurate in the environment. MacBook works really well when pairing it with the display. Just a single USB-C Thunderbolt cable out, and it works perfectly. However, I find that 4 USB-C connectors sometimes aren't enough. It does also have the headphone jack, but I think the SD card reader built in would basically finish off all of the features. You wouldn't really need much more than that. USB-C is quite much the future, and most devices are transferring to that. I'm hoping maybe the iPhone might even transfer to that this year, but we'll have to see. It is Apple, and they've invested a lot into their Lightning jack, but the USB-Cs really cover everything you need, and if you need anything else, just a simple adapter pretty much covers you. So I find that 4 USB-Cs are quite enough. Now, the touch bar, one of the newer-ish features coming out a couple years ago. I find it a bit more of a gimmick as a newer Mac user. It sometimes has its uses, but I think it's just nicer to look at, as you can see your sound and things like that, and it changes with what you're doing, but I've never really found that I'm specifically going out of my way to use it, and I find the trackpad is a great size and just makes sense. The gestures are really intuitive, they just work. Scrolling, moving between the launch pad and your apps, swiping between windows, it just works really flawlessly. I'm surprised that more companies don't have larger trackpads like this, and even though it's so large, I don't find that when I'm typing it ever picks up anything. It just still works when I'm typing perfectly fine. The new speakers on the MacBook work amazingly. If you're watching Netflix from bed, or you're just watching stuff with a friend, they'll be perfectly loud enough. I find almost on the louder end they're a little bit too loud, so you're never not going to have a set of speakers on this computer that aren't loud enough. They sound still really great. All the way at the high end they sound really great. Mids and lows they sound great. They don't have much distortion when you're maxing out the volume, and I think you wouldn't really need anything else unless you're going to use a pair of headphones, but for your speakers it's perfectly fine and is everything that you'll ever need. But some of the newer changes are the escape key has been moved out of the touch bar from the last generation to its own key, which I find useful, as the touch bar sometimes freezes. Now, I heard this from other people, and I've now experienced it while I was actually writing the script for this. It does freeze, and when it does, you kind of just gotta like fiddle around with it. So I don't know, maybe just a software update will eventually fix that. The other change on the keyboard is the arrow keys have been switched from the old large left and right keys to the smaller ones, so they're all the same. The big change is the keyboard itself. They've recently moved back to their scissor switches from their butterfly switches, which are much nicer and was a very much requested change. The older switches had a longer travel distance and were much nicer and more tactile to feel. The iMac Pro is a really great travel laptop for on the go, especially the power it's got. It's really great for photo and video editing when you just need to do something and you can't have a full workstation right next to you. It's nice form factor, still being almost the same size as the 15 inch allows me to put it in my Peak Design backpack, which is really great as that's pretty much the only backpack I use, so I'll always be able to use it whenever I'm on the go and I need to edit something and get it out to someone or something like that. The weight doesn't bother me either. It comes in about 1.8 kilos. For $3,800, my family bought this computer. Now, you might wonder why would you get something so powerful if you're going to most likely not using any of the photo or video editing features that it's optimized for. Now, honestly, it comes down to the Apple brand. It is extremely optimized OS and reliable mouse, keyboard, speakers, and all metal design, and it's just all-around quality that you will not have to worry about where it comes to other products. The Mac will always be fast enough for anything they will need. The Mac will always be fast enough, and the larger screen was what honestly won them over, as they like to sometimes watch movies and things like that with it. And it is still probably the best laptop to buy, and I'll most likely be buying this when I go to get my first laptop. However, I would like to see that all these features that are on the 16 inch come down to the 13 inch. The 13 inch would be the perfect laptop for me, but it hasn't got the really slim bezels, the new switches on the keyboard, and all of the newer features. So if they could make all of this but in a small laptop, it would be the perfect laptop, and ultimately I think it would be the best laptop that I'd recommend to anybody. Anyway, I don't know whether this was any good or not. If you enjoyed it, please go check out and follow my Instagram and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye. And there.